because no other race was monotheistic. Pantheism and polytheism had had their day, and a new and more spiritual culture was due. The Christian races owe their religion to the Jewish culture as surely as the Buddhist races of the East owed theirs to the Hindu culture. 4. The mysticism of Israel supplies the foundation of modern Western occultism. It forms the theoretical basis upon which all ceremonial is developed. Its famous glyph, the Tree of Life, is the best meditation symbol we possess because it is the most comprehensive. 5. It is not my intention to write a historical study of the sources of the Kabbalah, but rather to show the uses that are made of it by modern students of the mysteries. For although the roots of our system are in tradition, there is no reason why we should be hidebound by tradition. A technique that is being actually practiced is a growing thing, for the experience of each enriches it and becomes part of the common heritage. 6. It is not necessarily incumbent upon us to do certain things or hold certain ideas because the rabbis who lived before Christ had certain views. The world has moved on since those days, and we are under a new dispensation. But what was true in principle then will be true in principle now and of value to us. The modern Kabbalist is the heir of the ancient Kabbalist, but he must reinterpret doctrine and reformulate method in the light of the present dispensation if the heritage he has received is to be of any practical value to him. 7. I do not claim that the modern Kabbalistic teachings as I have learnt them are identical with those of the pre-Christian rabbis, but I claim that they are the legitimate descendants thereof and the natural development therefrom. 8. The nearer the source, the purer the stream. In order to discover first principles, we must go to the fountainhead. But a river receives many tributaries in the course of its flow, and these need not necessarily be polluted. If you want to discover whether they are pure or not, we compare them with the pristine stream, and if they pass this test, they may well be permitted to mingle with the main body of waters and swell their strength. So it is with the tradition. That which is not antagonistic will be assimilated. We must always test the purity of a tradition by reference to first principles, but we shall equally judge of the vitality of a tradition by its power to assimilate. It is only a dead faith which remains uninfluenced by contemporary thought. 9. The original stream of Hebraic mysticism has received many tributaries. We see its rise among the nomad star worshippers of Chaldea, where Abraham in his tent among his flocks hears the voice of God. But Abraham has a shadowy background in which vast forms move half-seen. The mysterious figure of a great priest-king, born without father, without mother, without descent, having neither beginning of days nor end of life, administers to him the first Eucharistic feast of bread and wine after the battle with the kings in the valley, the sinister kings of Edom, who ruled ere there was a king in Israel, whose kingdoms are unbalanced force. 10. Generation by generation we trace the intercourse of the princes of Israel with the priest-kings of Egypt. Abraham and Jacob went thither. Joseph and Moses were intimately associated with the court of the royal adepts. When we read of Solomon sending to Hiram, king of Tyre, for men and materials to aid in the building of the temple, we know that the famous Tyrian mysteries must have profoundly influenced the Hebrew esotericism. When we read of Daniel being educated in the palaces of Babylon, we know that the wisdom of the Magi must have been accessible to Hebrew Illuminati. 11. The ancient mystical tradition of the Hebrews possessed three literatures: the books of the Law and the Prophets, which are known to us as the Old Testament, the Talmud, or collection of learned commentaries thereon, and the Kabbalah, or mystical interpretation thereof. Of these three, the ancient rabbis say that the first is the body of the tradition, the second its rational soul, and the third its immortal spirit. Ignorant men may with profit read the first, learned men study the second.